Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast brought to you by DraftKings. All right, guys, great deal going on right now. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win their game in college hoops, conference championships, and if that team wins, you get $200 in free bets. That simple, that easy. All right, now joined by the dawn of the Arizona sports scene, Mr. Jason Scheer. Hello, Jason.
What's going on, Mike?
All right, so let's get down to it. We got a ton of comments already. We got a ton of questions. A lot of people want to know what Scheer's prediction is for a U of A basketball recruit. I don't think that that's probably going to take you by surprise. Okay, first and foremost, let's rehash a little bit of Arizona basketball this season. Everybody is trying to make the case for somebody other than Tommy Lloyd to be National Coach of the Year. Arizona goes into the year unranked. It's currently number 2 in the entire nation. Again, went into the season unranked. This is the most open and shut case that I can ever imagine, and yet somehow Ed Cooley at Providence is going to get the award here.
Yeah, I don't think Tommy Lloyd's going to win it. I was just telling someone with Arizona this the other day. I think it's going to go to Ed Cooley. Mostly the argument will be Providence hasn't won the Big East, and they haven't been very good and all that, and I don't know. Like, to me, it's, Arizona's almost getting punished for the fact that they were good like 5 years ago and Providence isn't good. But it's Ed Cooley's guys that weren't good.
Let me ask you this. Who is more, and here's always what I say, who is more surprising, Arizona or Providence? Because we can be honest here. Providence is a good team. They're not a national title contender. Nobody's going to expect to see them in the Final Four. Arizona is absolutely a team that can cut down the nets.
Yeah, like Providence is good, but meanwhile, if you listen to all the fans of 1 seeds and 2 seeds, they're like, "Oh yeah, we want Providence in our bracket."
Well, yeah, and that should really tell you.
Want to face Providence. They don't want to face, like to me, Scott Drew is probably second. They don't want to face Baylor. You don't want Baylor in your bracket. You want Providence.
Right, and Scott Drew's the other guy. Listen, Tommy Lloyd would be my guy 100% across the board. I can at least entertain Scott Drew because he's lost half his team and they're still going to be a 1 seed.
I'm not even sure Cooley's third. I think Mark Adams might be third at Texas Tech.
I just can't watch Mark Adams in that style.
Don't get me wrong, but
I mean, I 100% not watch that. All right, so Arizona right now, you and I were talking about it. You're going into the conference tournament right here. A lot of people are saying, well, do you really want to go all in and win? To me, why wouldn't you? You could still potentially get that number 1 seed if Gonzaga falls. So why wouldn't you want to win this tournament?
You have to play to win. I know as fans, it's like, look, if we're not that disappointed that they don't win the conference tournament, that's different. But the players, you can't say we're not going all in. Like, you owe it to them. They won this amount of games. If they win the Pac-12 tournament, there's no doubt. I mean, there's probably no doubt anyway. But you're, kind of cementing Arizona's place as the best team in the conference. And like you said, if Gonzaga happens to lose tonight or Wednesday, Arizona's the 1 seed in the West if it wins the conference tournament. So there's still plenty to play for.
You and I were talking about it. We're having a little bit of back and forth. You are much higher on Kentucky than I am. Yeah. Time will tell, obviously, who's right. But one team that I don't want to see in the Sweet 16, because I think that they match up very well with Arizona, is a team like Arkansas. And you might say, Mike, we don't want to hear about the Muss Bus. Who cares about the Muss Bus? The teams that worry me a little bit more, I think people are getting this wrong, right? People are saying, well, it's a methodical pace that you don't want to play. I don't necessarily worry about that per se, because if Arizona's in the half-court setting with as big as they are across the board, you're going to probably get eaten up on the offensive glass. The teams that worry me are the ones that can pressure you, that can get in that 3-quarter, that half-court situation. Because while Kirk Kriisa has certainly made me look stupid, he's become much, much better. He's also a guy that, we can be honest here, isn't the slickest of ball handlers per se. So those are the kind of teams that worry me there, Scheer.
Yeah, like people mention, I see people mention like they don't want Arizona to play Texas Tech because it's grind them out, et cetera. But teams like that still have to score in Arizona. Like you're not winning by scoring 35 points. And so Arizona is not easy to score on. Arkansas is one of those matchups. I posted on the message board teams I don't want to face. And Arkansas is one of them because they pressure the ball. They have no issue full court press. They have JD Note, is one of the best shooters in the country. If that guy's hot and making threes, all bets are off. And they're a well-coached team and they're good. Like they're going to pressure Arizona. And, I love Kirk Kriisa, but Arkansas pressure is different. And there's teams in throughout the country that can really pressure teams. And Arkansas is one of them. LSU is another. And those are the type of teams where if you're Arizona, you'd kind of rather wait a little bit longer to face.
All right, guys, just so you know, we have about 80 questions from me saying, Mike, please ask Jason. We're going to get to KJ Lewis in just a second right here. We're going to don't worry about all of that. Now, I think this is an interesting question from Andre Veris, somebody that I'm responsible for bringing over to your board, Scheer. So I want a cut of that subscription. All right, Andre says, who is one of two teams Jason does not want to see in our bracket, regardless if it's an 8-9 seed or a 2-3 seed that we might face in the Elite Eight? It's a good question.
Well, Arkansas, which we just mentioned. And when it comes to the 8-9 game, for me, it's teams that have talent that maybe necessarily haven't played well because all it takes is one game. So like a Michigan State or a North Carolina, Arizona's better than both teams. But when you're talented and Michigan State has Tom Izzo, it just takes one game in the tournament.
Right.
So I'd rather face a Boise State or San Francisco where I know that, Arizona is a considerably better team than those guys. And in terms of the 2 seed, like we've mentioned, we would love to see Wisconsin as the 2 seed in Arizona's bracket, or even a 3 seed.
Can we talk about Wisconsin for a second? Because you and I have been baffled by Wisconsin for about the last 3 months.
Like my sister went to Wisconsin. I watch a lot of Wisconsin basketball.
I get it. They're solid. But for the longest time now, and this has been going on all season, the national media has some real, for lack of a better term, chubby for Wisconsin basketball. And again, they're solid, but I look at that team and I don't put them as one of the 8 to 10 best teams in college basketball. I just don't.
And the metrics back us up. Their metrics aren't good. On KenPom, they're not top 20 last I checked as of yesterday. They have a really good player, Johnny Davis, who's awesome. Nebraska took him out to win that game, as you know.
As we know.
Yeah, and beyond that, what do they have? I mean, Brad Davison is solid, but he's not any better than some of the guys that Arizona is seeing on a weekly basis. He's not better than a Hawkwez or a guy like Juzang or a guy like that. And to me, they're kind of a 2-man team. And I think people are overrating the Big Ten because outside of Illinois and Purdue, I mean, what are you excited about?
And we heard this last year too, where the Big Ten absolutely just fell on its face in the tournament. And I think that's something that if the Pac-12. I'll put it to you like this. I would not be at all surprised if the Pac-12 had more second weekend teams than the Big Ten does, even though the Big Ten is going to get 13 teams in.
I think UCLA, USC, and Arizona, when you take the top 3 teams in every conference, I'd put them up against anyone.
I really do. Now let's talk
SEC, but besides that.
Let's talk SEC, let's talk UCLA just for a second. You and I were messaging back and forth. I think Arizona is better than UCLA. But I will say this. I would not at all be surprised if UCLA makes another big run come tournament time because it looks like they're getting healthy. Jaime Jaquez is back to doing what he can do. It's not an overly athletic team, and they could struggle against longer teams. But Jason, you don't want to see them as the 4 seed if you're a 1 seed.
No. It'll be Arizona probably, but
yes, I know, right? Somehow that'll happen.
Yeah, but I don't think people realize how good UCLA is. Like they had some injury and health issues. Jalen Clark is legit. He was hurt. Hawkwez was hurt. Now he's back. He's gonna be Pac-12 Player of the Week. He might have already been named it. I don't know. But you take a look at UCLA. They're defending better than they have all season. Their offense is very unique in college basketball. They run more ISO than like anybody. And yeah, they can go cold and get upset early. I mean, it's a possibility, but this is also one of those teams where they're really difficult to beat because they're very talented. They finally found Miles Johnson is better when he's playing more than Cody Riley. And, it took the whole season, but things are coming together for them. I think Arizona is the best team in the Pac-12, but UCLA winning the Pac-12 tournament, would it surprise me or even upset me at all because they're a really good team.
All right, guys, before KJ Lewis, we're going to get to another point right here that I want to talk with Scheer about. All right, a bunch of people have said, who do you expect back next year? Who do you expect? I think it's probably a foregone conclusion. And, real quick, sorry, and I'm all over the place. Randomly, an elderly person just dropped a dog off at my front door about 3 minutes before I'm about to go. So I guess he saw Bruno at some point. But you're a voter, so you can vote for all the Pac-12 awards, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if we get a vote, but it's a coach's vote. It comes out tomorrow. And
that's right. This is a clean sweep for Arizona across the board, right?
You'd think so. I don't really trust coaches, but you'd think it's Ben, player of the year, Koloko, defense, Tommy, coach.
And I know that Wilner put out that it's either between Terrell Brown and Ben Mathurin. As much as I like to troll Scheer about Terrell Brown, it is not between Terrell Brown and Ben Mathurin. It is Ben Mathurin.
I mean, you could have made a case a week ago it was between Ben and Zoo.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying. So,
yeah.
Yes.
Terrell Brown, I can't do that.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Now, let's talk about guys on the roster next year. I think we both probably assume that Ben Mathurin is gone. He is a top 10 pick. You leave if you're a top 10 pick.
Correct. He's gone.
All right. What do you think about Christian Koloko?
If I'm him, I'm coming back. But I've seen mock drafts where he's a first-round pick. And if a team says, we're drafting you in the first round, he should absolutely go.
Here's my pitch if I'm Tommy Lloyd. I tell him, and it's kind of like the thing, I agree with you. I'm always the guy that, you know what, as long as you're emotionally ready and it's not going to just destroy you, I'm always the guy that says leave. The one thing, though, that I think Lloyd could maybe sell him on is Koloko's never going to be a real good finisher around the hoop against NBA players. That's just not what he does. But the one thing that he does show, he shows a nice little stroke out there. He really does. I think Tommy Lloyd's going to tell him, if you come back, I'm going to let you shoot 2 threes a game this year, which I think would only improve his stock. He's not going to hurt himself by coming back. It's not the thing where the guy's tapped out and he has no room for improvement. I think that'll be Tommy Lloyd's pitch.
Yeah, he's not maxed out. So if he comes back, you got to assume that he's going to improve his stock. Yeah, I mean, you say, look, you're going to be more focal point of the offense. Ben is leaving. Those are, 15 shots a game. That's going to be up for grabs. We're bringing in guys, but you're the starting big. You're going to play more minutes, etc. And we're going to let you kind of have more offensive freedom. And that's the aspect of his game that NBA teams are going to want to see in workouts and all that. They want to see if when he gets on an NBA court, is he at least good for some points?
Right.
And it's going to be tough for him right now. He's got to get stronger, and he doesn't really have much of an offensive game.
Can you have you seen anybody whose legend has taken off more than Oumar Ballo during this season?
No, I would like to think that I'm responsible for it.
All right, explain.
He's my guy. He's
I
our
know
guy.
He is. No, he's our guy. No, we have joint fanship rights on Oumar Ballo.
Oumar gets me pumped, man. He's just first of all, he's a great kid and he's humongous. So like if he was a jerk, you'd be like, you'd be scared of him. But he's like a big old teddy bear. And then when he gets going like he did against Cal, I'm convinced, like I even texted you the question. I said, how many centers in the conference are better than Oumar when he plays like that?
Nobody outside of Koloko.
Yeah, like Koloko, and then maybe you give it. I'm sure there's one out there we're not thinking of, but
Dante's so up and down, you don't know. I mean, he can go for 15 and 15 against Koloko and then 2 and 5 the next game, so you don't know. Right. So I think Ballo is right there. You know what I love about Ballo, though? How patient he is before he posterizes somebody. He takes his time, pump fakes, gets you up in the air, and then he rips the rim down and he takes your head with it.
And he's so damn strong. Like there were multiple plays. I know Cal's not very good, but there are multiple plays where he got his arm hit and still finished.
Right, for sure. All right, real quick, and then we're going to get to KJ Lewis here. DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX. I was at a baby shower yesterday, and I was actually reading off this to people off the top of my head. That's how good I'd be.
On your baby, by the way.
Yeah, but I know, right? Congratulations, right? All right, here's the deal. You throw down $5 on conference tournament games coming up here, and if that team wins, you get $200 in free plays. It's that simple. It's that easy. Everybody likes betting on conference tournaments. You know what? Just don't listen to what I have to say because I kept telling you to bet against the Pistons. The Pistons are on like a 7-game winning streak right now. So don't listen to what I have to say. Listen to what Scheer has to say. You could probably follow him on Twitter at Jason Scheer, and he might be able to tell you something. But again, Arizona only, 21 and up. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. They'll get you all taken care of. All right, Scheer. The questions, the recruiting Dom, the man that is connected like no other in the recruiting circles. You were very confident that, here's what you know too, and everybody should be getting a subscription to Wildcat Authority. Here's what Scheer does when he feels good about a commitment. Arizona likes where they stand right now. That's a very good compliment, or very good remark. You said that about Kylan Boswell for about 2 weeks, or 2 months, excuse me. KJ Lewis, does Arizona like where they stand?
I would say I got to make a few more calls, but as Eric Bossy posted this morning or last night, I don't remember.
Who's Eric Bossy, by the way?
24/7 Sports national recruiting analyst, the man. We both feel pretty good about where Arizona stands with KJ Lewis right now. Okay. I would be surprised if it isn't Arizona. I'm not ready to crystal ball it, but I would be surprised if it's not Arizona right now.
Well, heck, you can always just change the crystal ball last second. I kid. What kind of player is KJ Lewis, though?
Tough dude. Another really good kid. Tough kid. Can defend, play both sides of the court well, athletic. The thing with him is that he could easily play with Boswell. They're very complementary players, and in this system, they'd be easily Arizona's going to still recruit Tyrese Proctor. He's another guy. They're guards that complement each other very well, which is important. And they could go to those 3-guard smaller lineups, but they're still all tough kids. They're going to rebound and all that. And I like Lewis a lot. We have him higher than everyone else, and we have him probably where I would have it.
I need you to also explain to people too, because I get a lot of people that get very I love the composite ranking that you guys do, but I think the big mistake you do is including ESPN's rankings in there because it dilutes everything. Can you please explain why what you guys do in one other service should be taken at far more face value than what ESPN does?
We've had serious discussions about ESPN and the composite because a lot of us guys don't like it, because I'm very confident in saying that we see more than all the other networks. And I know Rivals sees more than ESPN. ESPN doesn't see anybody.
Right.
So what happens is ESPN won't see a kid and they'll kind of throw him up in a ranking and say KJ Lewis is 70th in the country. But meanwhile, we have guys seeing KJ Lewis every other game who say he's 23rd in the country. And so it brings him down. And that's why, when I talk about rankings, and, I always say, look, the composite's great. It's an awesome idea, but look at ours when we're ranking a kid, because we see these guys closer.
Is it fair to say, and let me ask you this, because Arizona fans are absolutely rabid when it comes to recruiting.
Very calm, cool, and collected. I disagree.
What generates more excitement, a 5-star commitment or a big win?
5-star commitment, 100%. The best part about the commitments is Arizona has a big win, and we're still talking about the win 24 hours later. When or if KJ Lewis commits on Wednesday, it'll take 20 minutes for someone to ask me who the next commitment's going to be.
So it's an ongoing thing. Now, Tommy Lloyd, a lot of people are wondering, all right, Tommy Lloyd can obviously coach. Is it fair to say that you're not too concerned about his overall recruitment or recruiting level there, Jason?
Yeah, people just worry so much. But his I'll say this, his approach is very unique. They're not going to go off for 50 guys. But right now, let's say they land Lewis, how many guys have they lost?
Right.
Where they've been all in on? Not many, if any. So,
and where people miss the boat too? Everybody expects one thing that we got to say, and you're certainly a bigger Sean guy than I am. But the one thing about Miller was an A+++ recruiter. There was just no way around it. Outside of Calipari and maybe Krzyzewski, there was nobody that was better at it. So all the people that are expecting Tommy Lloyd to just come in and recruit at that level, I don't think that's really I don't think that was really fair to Tommy Lloyd, because you were looking at one of the 2 or 3 best head coach recruiters in all of college basketball, Jason.
Yeah, expectation-wise, Arizona fans are very, even keeled. We expect him to recruit a top 5 coach and win the Pac-12 in his first year. And he's actually doing it right now, which is ridiculous. But yeah, Sean is whatever you want to say about him as a coach, cool. You can't deny his recruiting before the whole FBI thing. Right. They could go up against anybody.
Well, and even after that too, you still were able to bring in Nico Mannion, Josh Green, guys that could have gone absolutely anywhere they wanted. So, all right. So Tyrese Proctor, real quick before we switch over to football, what's the deal with him? A lot of people asking about him as well.
It's only Arizona and Duke. I don't know when he's going to decide, but he's not going to another school unless something crazy happens. I would say that he would be less impacted by Lewis than Dusty Stromer would. I think if Lewis commits to Arizona, it becomes difficult to land Dusty Stromer, and he's probably going to UCLA or Gonzaga. With Proctor, I think there's a legitimate chance, especially something to watch for Proctor, and I was going to post this. Jared McCain is a 5-star guard that used to be teammates with Boswell. I think he's going to commit to Duke. If he commits to Duke, that actually helps Arizona because of the way that Arizona runs its offense. It could land multiple guards. So root for McCain to go to Duke, and then Arizona gets a even better shot at landing Proctor.
What else you need to worry about, though, too, is the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Code word PHNX. All right, here's the deal. We got all kinds of different stuff going on right now. This time is you can bet $5 on any team in their conference tournament to win. And if they win, they get $200. You get $200 in free plays. You might say to yourself, Mike, it can't be that easy. Jason Scheer is on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. He's not eligible because he's not a new customer. But Jason, you can vouch that this is how it goes, correct?
Yeah, it's an easy app. It's fun to use.
It's fun to use.
When you're winning, it's fun to use.
It's fun to get. Yes, absolutely. That's what you need to do. And what better time to bet on the U of A, especially if they're playing ASU or Stanford in that first round game up in the tournament. So again, DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX. Let's move over to football a little bit before we let you go. All right. Watching practice, you get some people that are like, it's hard to tell from one practice. But the only thing I am going to say is that these guys look much, much bigger than they did last year, especially on the outside there, Jason.
Yeah, it is hard to tell for one practice, but the first thing you look for every first practice of spring and fall camp is the size of the players, and they are so much bigger than last year. Other schools tried to get T.O., the strength coach in Arizona, kind of ponied up a little bit and made sure he stayed. That may have been the move of the offseason. Like, these dudes are much bigger. They're faster. And whenever you see Arizona, for the last few years, it's been like, man, Arizona's just so much smaller. In a few years, that's not going to be the case.
At the quarterback position, I've always felt that this is ideally what's going to happen. Jaden Delora is going to start. You don't bring in a guy like that and he doesn't start. I've always thought this, though, that ideally from the coaching staff, and this is no slight to Will Plummer or Gunnar Cruz. It's just acknowledging what it is. I think that you want Delora to start. You want Jordan McLeod to be the capable long-term backup, for lack of a better term, where if Delora sprains his ankle and a guy's got to go in for 3 games, that's Jordan McLeod. Fafita gets some action. You keep his red shirt, though, year intact, and that's kind of your three-headed monster right there. Is that how you see that playing out?
Yeah, with the caveat that, again, it's one practice, but Noah Fafita looked really freaking good.
Didn't he?
He made throws that, in camp last year, Will Plummer and Gunnar Cruz weren't making. And I know that's, but it's
hard to believe, right?
It wouldn't shock me if that backup quarterback between him and McLeod is closer than we think. But those are going to be the 3 guys. I have no doubt in my mind.
Is maybe a guy that people are, with the T-Mac and the Jacob Cowings, the guys, the Kean Burnett's, is maybe a guy that we're forgetting a little bit about right here, Kevin Green, the ex-USC decommit, the wide receiver position, because I know he had a pretty impressive first practice.
Yeah, he had a catch in the corner of the end zone where, it was fantastic, and they're loaded at wide receiver. Like, it's a good issue to have, but they're absolutely going to have an issue figuring out who to play, because Cowing looked great, Dorian Singer looked good. Then you have Green, you have T-Mac, you have multiple other guys. I'm like,
right.
It is a very, very talented position and considerably better than last season.
All right. Now, Johnny Nansen, take it over for Don Brown. I thought, and I wrote an article about this, go PHNX, get the membership right there. We got you all covered. I thought Don Brown did a pretty good job last year because I think he put out a middle of the road defense without middle of the road talent. He's obviously moved on right now. Johnny Nansen comes in from UCLA. He's a great recruiter. A lot of these kids talked immediately about how much they like him. What do you look for as far as any differences or similarities as to the kind of defense he's going to run as opposed to what Don Brown ran?
I think it may not be a good thing. It is yet to be seen, but Fish has said it a few times and Danson has said it. They're going to be more flexible. Don Brown was very stubborn. It was, we're going to put our corners on the island, and if they get beat, they get beat. I think what we're going to see from Nansen is if they're getting beat, we're going to make a few adjustments here and there. They're still going to be aggressive, but I think you're going to see, a lot more dime, for instance. They were saying that they're going to play a lot more, 4.26 and all that. So it's going to look different. 4.25, sorry. It's going to look different, but it's still going to have the same principle in terms of aggression. There's just going to be a little more flexibility in the whole thing.
All right, yeah, Connor Evenoff, great question. Are the safeties improved? Because that was a source of frustration last year.
And I think part of that was system. So like Christian Young, I love, I think he's a good player, but you don't want to leave him on an island. He's not that type of guy.
Right.
So I think you're going to see a lot more nickel. Like Gunnar Maldonado in the first practice was at nickel.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't playing a true safety. So you're going to see guys move around. They love Jackson Turner and Christian Young. They think they're going to be better this season. I'm a little skeptical. But you have guys like Warnell and Maldonado at nickel, which I think is going to help that a little bit.
All right, guys, I want to tell you quick about Athletic Greens. All right, you might say, Mike Luke, you look like a specimen. And you know what? You would be right. And a big part of that is because of Athletic Greens. It's fantastic. Here's the deal. You get one scoop of delicious Athletic Greens. You're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you get your day started. Okay. I was eating at Del Taco the other day. Along my guy, Bruce, shout out to Bruce Pasco. Yep. And you know what? It was a big mistake because that's what I had for breakfast. I should have had Athletic Greens instead. I had Athletic Greens today, and that's why I am doing so much better right now. All right. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Again, that is athleticgreens.com. /Wildcats to take ownership of your health and pick up the right pace. All right, Jason, I can't thank you enough for coming on. You're awesome. You always set really good numbers for us. The people like you. By the way, real quick, where can they find you? Where can they find you on Twitter? Where can they find all your stuff you do?
WildcatAuthority.com. It's going to be a busy few weeks, hopefully 2-3 weeks. And at Jason Scheer on Twitter. Appreciate you for having me on, Mike.
All right, as always, he's the Don Jason Scheer. I am merely Mike Luke. Thank you, guys. Tons of comments. We'll have this up on the podcast in a few minutes. All right, for Jason Scheer, I'm Mike Luke.